Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Welcome along to this edition of Muchie and Deno. We're at Manda House at the WCR-FM studios, Wolverhampton Community Radio, providing partnerships and pathways into the media for young people. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Muchie and Deno, TikTok and Facebook too, and you can like and subscribe the podcast. We're continuing our chat with Tom Bennett. Tom, tell us, after you left Wolves, what it was like trying to maybe find your way again with a new club. You said you jumped at the chance to go to Stockport. Why was that?
Just Dave Jones, really. Dave Jones sort of sold what he was intending on achieving at Stockport. It was his first managerial role. I think I was one of his early signings, if not his first signing, and he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and it was the second season. We'd done okay in the first season. I think just missing out on playoffs, I think, maybe in the first season, but he was still recruiting, he was still looking to bring in 2 or 3 other players, and the second season we really kicked on. Brett Angel came in, Chris Marsden came in, Paul Jones came in, and it was harsh. The goalkeeper at the time was a guy, and Andy Much came in. but the goalkeeper
laughing, what?
And this is you got to give Dave a lot of credit in this, because our player of the year that season was the goalkeeper, like called Neil Edwards. Taff was a really good keeper, really good shot stopper, terrific striker of a ball, very dependable. But he'll admit it himself, and I still see Taff. And if you're listening to this, he's still a very good goalkeeping coach at Liverpool. Taff was 5'6", 5'7". If you speak to him, he was 6'3", but that was never happening. And that was the only thing that was only holding him back, really. So Paul Jones comes in, and probably 12 points he saved us that season, probably. Without a shadow of a doubt, some of the saves he made. So then you look at that team, and we got a lot of luck.
And you were in League One then, were you?
We were in League One,
yeah.
But we got that season, we got promotion.
Yeah.
Finished second. We got to the semi-final of the League Cup.
It was a memorable cup run, that, because that was shown on Sky. They had the live football by then. There were some great games.
And again, the luck came into it in terms of the teams that we played, the Premier League teams that we played, and where they were in the league. Like West Ham weren't doing so well, Blackburn Rovers weren't doing so well, Southampton weren't doing so well, and even Middlesbrough in the semi-final weren't doing so well. It was a lot of games for us, and we're a small squad, so I think I ended up playing 63, 64 games in that season, and the majority of the players were doing that. But when, it's like Robbie alluded to earlier on, when you're winning, nobody's ill, nobody's injured, everybody wants to play in the next game, everybody wants to get in, the fans are all behind you, and we're all a little club, and everybody underestimated us. And as Robbie said, better than the level. We were better than the level. All the players on that side either went on to play in the Premier League afterwards or had really good careers. And that's credit to Dave Jones and putting that team together, really. And I loved my time there.
But Tom, when we went to Middlesbrough in the semi-final, do you remember? They had Ravanelli, Festa at the back, Jorginho in midfield.
Emerson in midfield, Juninho in midfield.
Emerson as well. They had a hell of a side, right? Yeah. And we lost, I think we lost 3-2 over 2 legs, didn't we, in the end?
No, we lost 2-1.
2-1 was it?
2-0 down at Edgeley Park. So Ravanelli scores 2 goals at Edgeley Park in semi-final, League Cup. Right. We turn up at the Riverside and no hope, basically. They've already got the flags printed for the Cup final, They're all going to Wembley. Sean Conley played right back for us. He scored after 6 minutes. So suddenly we're now right in the game.
Game on, yeah.
And we hit the post. I think, no, we didn't hit the post, but there was about 5 minutes to go. And little Louis Cavaco, 1-on-1 with Schwarzer.
Yeah.
And he gives him the eyes. And Schwarzer goes the wrong way. And he puts it in the bottom corner. Schwarzer's foot just hits it and it goes out for a corner. And it's one of those moments you go, that was it. That was the chance. And I always remember at the end of that game, and I'm knackered, you know, because everybody's spent, everybody's done as much as they can. You know you've lost. And I'm standing right next to Juninho, and I grabbed his shirt off him and I just took it off him. He had no choice in the matter. I was going on with something.
Did we win 1-0, Tom, did we?
We won 1-0, yeah.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
I thought we lost 3-2 for some reason. I don't
No.
know. Not on the day. I mean, over the 2 legs.
No, of the 2 legs, we lost 2-1.
So we lost 2-1. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I tell you what, and as you said, right.
That's how important Andy was to this team.
Blackburn.
He was sleeping on the bench again.
I was on the bench, but no. When we played Southampton,
No.
right?
Andy got the winner at Southampton.
Got the winner at Southampton, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
apologies,
It
mate.
was a 40-yard shot, right? Well, no, sorry, it was a 1-yard tap in. If I'm being truthful, right? But I was there, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
goals
scored
are
it,
goals.
right? And I did contribute a lot. Scored
You did.
that trick for Stockport.
But again, I think that's Dave Jones coming into needing experienced. We only had Brett Angel and Armstrong was pretty much our forward line, and that was it. Bringing in Andy, who's proven at the level, was needed, and and Andy would come in, and he knew he was always going to be a bit part player, but that's where he was in his career. But never let the side down. Always turned up and produced some top goals, and that's it's important. It's important to recognise that.
The funny thing was, Tom, right, when Dave rang me about going to Stockport, right, because I knew Dave anyway from years ago, and he rang me up and says, "Are you fit?" I says, "Well, not sure really." I said, "Because I've had the double hernia operation, come back, and I'm sort of just back getting into it, but I'm fit enough, but I couldn't say I'm like pre-season fit, if you know what I'm saying, right?" So gets there, and they had this gym. Remember that gym we used to go in?
Yeah.
This gym, small gym, little thingy, right? So the first thing he did was give us a bleep test. So we're doing the bleep test. Start of level 5. Remember that, right? And I was thinking, he's only put this on to see if I can do it. You know what I mean? And I did, right? And after the bleep test, I signed a contract just for a year. You know what I mean? Because that was it, and I'd be out of it.
But I think that
Stayed there 3 years in the end.
an important sign is the goalkeeper, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Jonah was a good keeper at Wolves. He played a number of games at Wolves.
I was shocked when he came to Stockport.
Yeah, well, they got him to sign a new contract.
My
at
signing, though,
Wolves.
Tom. I told you that.
Yeah, they got him to sign a new contract at Wolves. When he signed a new contract, Mick came back into the side again, which I thought that's kind of out of order, really. So Jonah was never happy being second to Mick. Mick, great keeper. Jonah was a fantastic keeper as well.
Yeah.
So
Well,
two good
Jonah
keepers,
went
but-
from-
So he went and he made the best of what he had. But the keeping side of things, when you're putting the side together, that's so important.
Well, the story is I played golf with Dave Jones at Hillside, and he said, "I'm thinking of signing Andy DeBont." And amazingly, we met Andy last week, didn't we? And
He
I've
wasn't-
seen him
he-
for
much he
years and
wasn't
years. He
happy,
wasn't
mate.
happy. He said to me,
He
"You
wasn't
couldn't do it." So Dave says to me, "I'm going to sign this lad from Wolves called Andy DeBont." I said, "You don't want to be signing him." I says, "Do you want to get Paul Jones?" And he went, "Huh?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "He's a brilliant keeper." He said, "It'll cost you a few bob." And the chairman, Brendan Elwood, at the time, was putting money in, and he was really good chairman, wasn't he, Tom, right? He was really at it, if you know what I mean, bringing the lads in and whatever was going on. Dave was away, I think he'd gone to America or somewhere, so I met Jonesy at Edgley Park in the summer, just one particular day, showed him round the ground, and I was selling the club to him, said, "We've got Tommy and Mazza and all this, come on, sign." So,
And he still signed.
Still
yeah,
saying.
and he still signed, and I went, "He must be daft as hell."
How much was he getting paid?
So anyway, he ended up signing, and he was the absolute icing on the cake, wasn't he?
Yeah,
If truth be known, he was
absolutely.
brilliant.
Yeah, goalkeepers don't get the recognition sometimes, but genuinely, I think 3 or 4 games worth on his own. He pulled a save at the top corner from Craig Ramage, I think it was. He goes up and he heads this ball, and it's flying at the top corner, and he produces this save that nobody thinks he's getting it, and we end up winning the game 1-0.
I tell you what, Tom,
That's the
right?
kind of saves he
Yeah.
made.
Oh, he was brilliant.
And he had, in fairness to him, he
He
went
was
on to have a
brilliant.
long Premier League
But
career
you know
as
the
well.
funny thing is, Johnny, it's really funny actually when you think about it, right? He ended up going to Southampton in the Premier League, and then the rest is history, if you know what I mean. And he had a marvellous career. But when he signed for Wolves, he came from like a farmland somewhere in Shropshire. And when he used to
It was
come in the
Kidderminster. He came from Kidderminster.
Kidderminster way, yeah. He was sort of
Yeah.
that way. And I used to
Yeah.
say to him, "Do you know where you live, Jones?" He said, "Do you have electricity there and all that and that?" And I used to wind him up like mad, and he used to laugh like mad, you know. And we ended up rooming together at Stockport, right? And he was a great character. So he went from having no electricity, right, in Shropshire in the fields, right, and he signed for Liverpool, right.
Yeah.
So he put Southampton, Liverpool, all this thing, and I was thinking, wow. And then I went to play golf once in La Manga, and he was there, and Letizia was there, and he was best pals with Letizia, and I'm looking, look at him now, you know what I mean? From his humble background.
But he had that presence about him, but didn't he? He was quite a quiet lad, wasn't he?
was.
But he took everything in his stride. Had that presence about him when he wasn't goals, and obviously went on and did really, really well.
I just think it's a
fantastic keeper.
It's an
He really was,
extraordinary
yeah.
job done by ordinary people sometimes.
He wasn't as good as Stowey though, Mick Stoll. He was absolutely brilliant money keeper, Stowey.
Story did well, yeah.
I think with consistency, like Mick was there 12 years or something, 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
I think consistently he was a fantastic keeper for Wolves.
I think Paul had to leave Wolves to
He had to, yeah.
to
That was the
establish
thing.
himself.
Yeah.
Like a lot of players have to, you know.
Yeah.
Like you did, Tom, yeah.
Well, this is it. There were 4 ex-Wolves players in that Stockport team as well, which was quite unusual, I guess. I mean, Chris Marsden, you'll have played most closely with him as well. He was a really talented midfielder, wasn't he? You know?
Yeah, we really complemented each other. It just sort of, and again, Dave Jones said, well, I need a left-sided midfielder that sits, and I need a right-sided midfielder that sits and supports play kind of thing. And we did. We complemented each other because he would keep to his side and I'd keep to mine. And we never had any fallouts. There's no arguments. And that's another thing when you talk about the camaraderie that you have in a team. So that was important. Got on really well with Chris. And it helped my game because I didn't have to worry about it because I knew he was good enough to do what he needed to do. And he similarly knew what I was doing. And it just complemented each other. And we had 2 good wide lads that we could feed and always knew that were always there. And we had 2 fullbacks that wanted to bomb on. So you always had options, which is important. So that it was a really good time, I'm glad Chris got on. He went on to Birmingham City and then obviously to Southampton. After that. Yeah, that's some good careers.
He played. Did he play in the FA Cup final as well, Chris Marsden? I'm sure he did for Strachan.
I don't know if
Yeah, with Strachan he did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
he
right.
did.
The good thing about Mazza was at the time when you were playing with him, Tom, and you were actually on fire. Both of them were brilliant, far too good for the level at the time. Was he'd met some girl Mazza and he'd really settled down because he was a bit wayward. One Mazza had been in his day, but he really had settled down.
I never seen anything other than just a settled player.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was, and it was all too. And he used to talk to me, Mazza, and Sean Connolly used to play golf together all the time, and we chat about it. And he's a Sheffield boy, you know, and Sean was from there as well. So we used to talk, and he'd say he all the time he was talking about this girl he had, and now settled he'd come, and it made such a difference to him because he was happy about himself. He was loving his golf. His footy was superb. He wasn't doing any shenanigans because he really was.
If you look at recruitment then, Andy, if you have to go back because he wasn't. I think he came from Notts County. So if he come from Notts County, he wasn't getting a game in the third team, not in the reserves. He was just literally potted to the side at Notts County to come to Stockport, and he was already straight away the player.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he needed 2 or 3 months to find his feet into what he was already straight away the player. He came to Stockport because I broke my 5th metatarsal, and I was injured for the last 2 or 3 months of that season, and Dave needed someone similar, and he brought in, because Mazza was just floating about in Notts County, so he brought him in, and then after that 3 months he did that well for Stockport. I think he's right, we need to sign him, and he would be on the left and I would be on the right. And
I just remember Chris at Wolves, and he came in and he was a fantastic footballer, right? I think the lads just summed it up. He needed to get his head sorted out just to get the best out of him, really, because at Wolves, I remember he got injured, really bad injury, one of the games under Graham Taylor at the time, and he came in on the Monday and Tuesday in crutches and all, and I think the story was he asked the gaffer could he go away for a week just before he started his rehab, could he go to Spain for a week, and Graham Taylor said no, he couldn't do it, and Mazza went anyway. Right, and
So he didn't need to ask, really, did he?
Next couple of days Graham Taylor called a meeting with the lads and he told exactly what he thought of him in no uncertain terms, and said he'd never kick a ball again, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He went on to Notts County then, obviously fell off the west side a little bit and then gets back, but he was absolutely an amazing footballer. You talk about not giving the ball away.
Yeah, good
he could keep it for fun and pass and always wanted it.
Strong, wasn't he?
Yeah, always wanted the ball as well. No matter where he was in the pitch, he always wanted the ball as well, and that's a sign of a good footballer.
Talking of those injury problems as well, Tom, it was an absolutely horrific leg break you suffered while you were at Stockport County.
Yeah.
Was it away at Birmingham City?
yeah, St Andrews. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen the footage of it, and it's it's as bad as they come, and that looked, to all intents and purposes, that looked like a career-ending injury. How on earth did you get back to professional football after that?
It was, and I was enjoying my football, like you say, and it's like when I done my cruise ship back at Wolves, it's almost like parallels to a certain degree. I'd just signed a contract, so I had 2 years, so I was 3 or 4 months into that season, and very early on, Gary Megson, who was the manager that at the time, came in and gave me another year. I offered it to me just to make sure I had nothing to worry about, don't worry about anything, which was phenomenal.
That's incredible, isn't it? Really,
phenomenal.
Great duty of care.
Absolutely. And I actually turned it down. I turned it down not for any other reason. That went, I've still got 18 months here, and in 18 months' time I'll be back and I'll be playing, and then I'll earn the contract, kind of thing. But you don't know. With a leg break, you just don't know. Both my brothers have broke legs, and my second youngest brother, he had a really bad muscle tears, and he had to have huge surgery to try and repair it. So you don't know, especially with a compound when it comes through the skin. Luckily, I got a very good surgeon, put it back together, and I was probably a year again before it was back. So I had a lucky break. If you can get a good break, I had a good break. But I was very lucky. Good physio, Roger.
Roger looked after you, didn't he?
He looked after us.
Who's that? What's his full name? Roger?
Roger Wilde.
Roger White played for Sheffield Wednesday up front.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had a good career.
Give him a shout.
He had a good career.
Great fella, by
He
the
ended
way.
up being a physio in
Yes.
Stockport, and Roger and I got on really well, and he helped me through that because it's mental. Any injury, any footballer will tell you, any sportsman will tell you, it's the injuries that really get to you.
Yeah.
And mentally, that's where you have to be strong. You have to be strong. And my mindset was, day one, as soon as I had the operation, that's my rehab. That's the start of my rehab. It ticks down from there. So I wanted to make sure I get the op. Once you get the operation, that's your mindset has to change. And if you don't have a strong mindset, then you won't. You'll struggle. You will struggle. And I was lucky. I got back probably a month before the end of the following season. I was offered a 2-year contract straight away. As soon as they saw me play, I think we played Bolton. We beat Bolton. I was still playing with a pin in the leg, and I think Stockport was survived in the championship then. So that was almost like we know where we are now, and I was offered another 2-year deal.
Amazing. When you got the injury, it was before Dave Jones's time at the club, was it, or after Dave Jones's time at the club?
It was after.
After Dave Jones's
It
time.
was the following season. He'd gone to
amazing.
Southampton. Gary Megson had came in.
Yeah.
Gary Megson came in, and Gary, that just sums it up what you said there, Tom. Where Gary Megson was a box of frogs as a manager. He was like on pins all the time, and all the young lads were a little bit frightened of him in one sense, because he was so hyped up, but he was a real cracking fella.
Yeah.
Right. And I've alluded to a lot of people, and they go, they're not really sure because.
That's not necessarily his image, is it? Yeah.
Correct. And when he was on the line managing any club, he made lots of clubs, West Brom, Stoke, all sorts of clubs, Blackpool. He was screaming on the line constantly, like Tom would turn around and say, just pipe down, will you, when he's trying to play his game, if you know what I mean. But
experienced players could handle him, but the
yes.
truth of it is he wanted to kick every ball, which is his want, and he's the manager.
That's the way he was. But offering Tom a contract when he broke his leg summed that bloke up, because he was an absolute cracking fella, really, really down to earth, cracking fella. He was big mates with Gary Owen. Remember him? Played for West Brom.
Gary Owen, yeah,
He was his mate. He was his best mate, right? And he always talked about him. You know what I mean? He was selling art and all this, and he's the laugh saying he's blagging it. You know what I mean? And all this stuff. But he was funny. But he was a real cracking bloke.
And when he did get sacked, it was the end of the season, and he phoned, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. He phoned me up to say that he was off and wished me all the best, which most people don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't bother. They know they're off, and it is what it is. But
And you laugh, Johnny, right? When I signed for Stockport, right, you won't believe it, right? We played Blackpool at Blackpool near the end of the season, and they were winning 1-0, and it was the old proverbial knocking in the corner, all this, and he's shouting to his players, throw it in the corner. And I looked at him and went, oh, is that how you win games of football? And he went, fuck off, you, like you do and all that. So we were laughing, you know what I mean, right? And I was going, right, okay, yeah. So I goes on holiday with my wife and our George then, Steph wasn't born, and I used to like going out for a breakfast in the morning on my own and just have a read the paper and see what's going on. So I opened this paper up and read it. It says, Stockport County new manager, Gary Megson. And I went, okay, now. And I was on holiday. And this is honest the truth. We came back and we were training at this place in Knutsford, right? It was a real hot sunny day. And Megson came in and he took us on. Remember, Tom, he took us on the pitch. Philo comes in, Mick Phelan, and says, the gaffer wants to see you and all now. So we all sat down and we all sat on the floor. So there was about 30 of us, all the young lads and everything as well. And he stood up there, right? So he's towering over us, if you know what I mean. That was his sort of domination type thing as a new manager. And he went, what about you? And I looked at him he looked at me and we both started laughing because I knew exactly what he was on about when we'd had a bit of an argument a few months ago, and that's how he broke the ice.
Brilliant. So where was he when you'd had that argument? He was in the opposition dugout.
Yeah, he was in the dugout, and I was just by the line while the player was taking the throw in it, and it was he was obviously Blackpool's manager.
Yeah,
and at the end
You're
of the
in the
season,
Stockport dugout.
Dave left and he got the job, didn't he?
Yeah.
But
Just shows you never know when you might need friends. Don't upset people much.
What goes round comes around, Johnny. Then
What goes around, but it was a cracking fella. I couldn't think more highly of him, but sometimes I used to say, well, I'm not going to mention that to anyone because he was a West Brom manager and the Wolves fans don't like that. So I thought, but
No, I think
time's moved on.
Time has moved on. So, obviously you stayed in the game into your 30s as well, and given all your injury problems, that was some achievement. When you wrapped it up, did you go back to Scotland in the end, just very briefly to finish up?
yeah, well, I went back from Stockport. I went down to Walsall. And had 2 good years at Walsall.
Of course, I forgot about that bit.
Millennium Stadium and through the playoffs, and that was a good time. Really enjoyed that. And then ended up, I was starting to get 34, 35 then, so I ended up going to Boston United. I had 2 good years there. Aside in transition, if that makes sense, and we were too disjointed in terms of team structure there. But I think I played 90 odd games in the 2 seasons, so I feel like I did my bit there without really being successful at all. And then that was me. I was done. I was 36 and I got a call to go up to Hamilton, and I thought it was going to be the right move. It was me going back to Scotland, really, a full circle kind of thing. But it didn't work, and my knee went again. And I'd spoke to the staff at Hamilton and said, look, I'm not sure how many games I'm going to get, and it's a 4G pitch and so on. So it didn't quite work out there. I was only there 3 months, and I sort of hung my boots up, and that was me done. I still stay in football with Blackburn now. I coach the kids there, and I've loved that for the last 19 years. Loved it.
So tell us a bit about that, because obviously, you didn't go into full-time work in football, and you've got other very successful business interests as well. But you are a coach in football, so you've sort of got your foot in and out of the game as well now, haven't you?
No different to a lot of footballers. You get into that age, what do you do? Football's always there because that's what you know and that's the experience that you have. But I never wanted to do it full-time. Not really committed to it. And I think you have to commit to it. You have to put everything else to one side and commit to want to be a coach or a manager, whatever it is. And now it's harder and harder and harder because there's more coming into the game. There's more non-football people in the game, which is absolutely fine. Success is success. You don't have to be a footballer to be good at a manager. It's a completely different sport almost. But I never wanted it. I never wanted it full time. It's so fickle. I think a manager down at the lower ends is like 3 months because the money's not in it, so they can get rid of you and bring someone else in. The money's not in it, they get rid of you, get someone else in. It's only at the top end, it's only at that very top end where you're paid really good money, and if they sack you, it doesn't really matter because you get a really good payoff. So, yeah, and it's worked out for me in terms of staying in football with a really good club, terrific club, well run, a great academy. I've been Category 1 now for the last 10 years, I'd say, and I love it.
It's up at Blackburn Rovers with their under-16 age group.
Under-16s, yeah. Other than that, I need to go full time, and like I say, I've never had that agenda to want to do that. So I'm at the under-16s.
And is that at Brockhall?
Yes.
Which is, for most of our listeners won't know that, but it's a phenomenal setup, isn't it? It's a lovely place in Lancashire.
Years ago, when Jack Walker sort of put the money into Rovers and they're winning the Premier Leagues, they built this phenomenal academy in a housing estate, and that's probably what it is, and that's the best description of it. So you've got 2 facilities. You've got the STC, which is the first team, and then you've got down the bottom where the academies are, and sometimes they mix, sometimes they don't, but it's a really good facility. But it's probably 20 years on, and if you look at the facilities now with the money that's awash in the Premier League, the facilities that I see now, we play other clubs in Category 1, Liverpool's, Man United's at Carrington, Chelsea down at Cobham. It's
different gravy, isn't it?
It's different. The money is just ridiculous.
I mean, half of them are like, some of them playing what would equate to lower division stadiums in other places. The pitches have got incredible, little terraces around them and seated areas. Yeah. Nowadays, it is phenomenal when you look at the training grounds.
When you go to play Man City, and the pitches are all immaculate, as you'd think. They've got a huge medical facility inside the academy set up. You've got an 8,000-seater all-season stadium for the under 18s, 20s and ladies, and that's when you can see what a proper Category 1 club should probably look like, but ultimately...
Have you got Category 1 status still then?
Yes.
Yeah, but how have you got that? How have you still kept that? If you're competing against all these other places with the money, what are the requirements to keep Cat 1 status?
Well, it's facilities, obviously. It's education, what you do off the pitch, level of coaches that you have, all that detail that goes into it. There's so many criteria that I'm sure an academy manager's turning around listening to this going, well, you've missed this, you've missed that. But it is about your credentials, not just about, you've got 5 pitches. You need an indoor, you need an outdoor, you need the floodlights, you need an education programme. All that's part of what makes you a Category 1, and you've got to fund it. And if you don't fund it, then you become Cat 2 or Cat 3. And it's not easy, but the money that a lot of championship clubs, and Blackburn being one of them, there's not 10, 20, 30 million to play into first team players. So they look at the academy to see can we generate some academy players through. And we've been lucky, but also, recruitment's been good, the coaching's good, and you're bringing players through, and that's what keeps it going. That's what sustains it, because yes, it's a lot of money to fund a Category 1 club, but if you can bring players through every 2 or 3 years and sell them on to fund it, then keeps it.
David Dunn was probably one of the earliest academy players to come through the ranks at Blackburn when they got that status.
Who was the Irish lad?
Damien Duff.
Damien Duff, yeah.
Phil Jones. Big money.
Yeah.
Big money.
And that pays for it for
yeah.
several years, I'd
Absolutely.
imagine.
Do you know that Dan's lad that he's at Liverpool, a young lad?
Scott Dan?
Summit Dan's his name is, but his dad was
Neil Dunn.
Neil Dans, yeah, of course,
right?
yeah.
And he was at Liverpool.
He went to Birmingham, didn't he?
He was at Liverpool's academy, right? And Blackburn Rovers paid £40,000 to take him from Liverpool Academy to Blackburn Academy when Rob Kelly was there. And that's the type of numbers that they were starting to do. Because they're only saying the other day, weren't they, on the Premier League? The revenue streams that come in, obviously, through Sky and whatnot, when it first started in 92, I think it was, they were taking in something like 12 million or something was contributed to the Premier League, right? And they're saying it's now 34 billion pounds. Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it? What's gone on in the money, and even the likes of Wigan with Whelan, who owned it privately, they're second. They have the new ground they had, but they also had that Wigan Arena, didn't they? Yeah. And they used to play all the reserve team games there. It was unbelievable, and you're thinking Wigan Athletic, and they were doing well, and they were up there at one stage, and I think it was Paul Jules manager or whatever. But the investment that went into it, it's been unbelievable in comparison to our day, where
you
can only have half a pitch to train on. We played the hockey thing. You can't train there. Says why not? He said that's hockey pitch, and you train on the car park.
That?
Remember that? We can only have half a pitch at that hockey pitch.
Good times, the good times.
We had half a pitch, and it was like,
where was that? Aldersley.
Where was it? It wasn't Aldersley. It was the hockey pitch sort of down.
It was Womborne Hockey Club, isn't it?
Womborne Hockey Club.
Yeah. Right. Unbelievable. I remember watching Man United versus Wigan at this stadium, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm going, look at this. And it was the reserves. Yeah. I was doing scouting or something. And I remember watching the match and I couldn't believe it. I said, look at all these facilities. So I goes in at half time to have a cup of tea. And Roberto Martinez, I played with him at Wigan when I went on loan there. Izzy Diaz and Jesse Saber. When I left, I was only there a month. I said they couldn't speak English at all, the two lads, but Roberto could just speak a little bit, so I could have a little bit of communication with you, sit and have meals and have a bit of a chat. So I said to him, what they say in England, Roberto, all the footy lads, when they say all the best, they say all the Georgie. And he went, all the Georgie? And he just didn't get it at all, right? Honestly, right? And I was laughing, so he goes, anyway, that game I was doing, Wigan, man, I went in this cup tea at half time, right? Anyway, I'm standing the next year, I hear a fella going, Andy. And I'm thinking, who the hell's that? And I looked round, Roberto Martinez, and he went, all the Georgie. That's the first thing he said to me. And I was laughing like, man, do you know what I mean? And he could speak fluent English like you never believe, you know what I mean? It was like pigeon stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's done very well for us.
Brilliant. Oh, but what a cracking lad he was, right? A cracking lad. And in fact, that Izzy Diaz, it was Jesse Saber and Izzy Diaz. And Izzy Diaz actually came to Wolves on trial, or he was at Wolves for a little bit.
Really?
Izzy Diaz. And he was the 3 Spanish lads that...
That's right. They called them the 3 amigos, didn't they?
Dave Wheeler brought over when foreigners didn't come. You had like the few Ipswich ones, Arnold Muir and whoever that was. And then you had Villa and Ardiles at Tottenham. Other than that, you didn't have foreign players coming in. And Dave Whelan takes the club over. And first thing he did, he brought 3 Spanish lads. And unbelievable. And then Roberto Martinez, look at how he finished.
Yeah.
Who's he manager now? Portugal, is it? He manages
I
someone.
think it is, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's managed Belgium as well in the past. So
He's Terry Henry's best mate, isn't he? Oh, sorry, Thierry Henry.
Do you get to see Wolves much at all then? Bringing it full circle, Tom, do you get to see much Wolves these days? So you're looking forward to going back?
I am really looking forward to the game, yeah. I don't, because we play on a Saturday. I've been invited down lots of times. Similar to Stockport, they invite me down to games, and I can't get there physically because I'm committed to Blackburn, and it's something I love doing, and we've invariably got a game on the Saturday, so yeah. It's a shame, but I'm looking forward to the game tonight.
Absolutely. And when you look back on your career as a whole, to have two clubs that you were able to put in over 100 appearances for Wolves, and then to do it again at Stockport as well, and have that longevity in the game, especially given the injury problems you overcame at both clubs, you must be very proud looking back at that career.
I'm very thankful. And I was saying to Robbie earlier, it's not until, for me, it wasn't until I came out of football that you probably appreciate what you've actually achieved. And I'll always attain that I was okay, I was average, I was all right, better than some, not as good as a lot, and I'll maintain that. But if someone's willing to pay you for 20 years to be a footballer, then I've got to be thankful for that, and so that's how I see it. And having two bad injuries as well, it makes it a little bit sweeter getting to 36, because Andy says most players 26, 27 and they're retiring. So yeah, if you don't have an injury, you've done very well, because most players can't go through a career without having an injury. But probably unlucky that I got the injuries that I did, but very thankful for having 20 years, yeah.
And Robbie, great to see Tom back at the Wolves.
I think whenever Tom talks about that at the end there, I think it's the mental strength that he's shown to come back from the two bad injuries. That's the biggest thing, really. And to play at 36 is phenomenal, really. And he was better than average. And he had a really good career, and he's a fantastic footballer. Don't see enough of each other, really.
No,
the group of lads that we had around that time,
yeah.
We don't see enough of each other, really. So it's
great.
The podcast is actually bringing a few together. So
it's brilliant that the podcast is bringing a few back together.
Yeah,
and
nice.
I agree with you spot on. As I said in the previous episode, I think Tom in today's game would be a fantastic player, because he treated the ball with so much care.
Yeah. But going back to what Robbie said there about not seeing enough of each other, right? Me and Tom have met a few times, met at a pub halfway, and we're actually only just over half an hour away from each other. But he's busy doing his work, and he's doing his footy and all that.
And you're just playing golf.
And I regret. No, I actually regret now. You're not wrong there, Johnny. That's right. But I actually regret not ringing him sometimes and going, Tom, let's just meet on Thursday night and have a bevy and have a...
We all say that,
have some tweet. But we did do it, didn't we, Tom?
Yeah.
We made the effort, right, and did it, right? Because
and you stopped taking my calls. Yeah.
He's a good lad. And then all of a sudden, my phone would ring. I'd look and say Tom Bennett. I'd just pot him.
Donald. But you do have to make the effort. That's the thing, isn't it?
That's it.
And anything in life, Robert,
you've
you've got to make the effort. If you don't make the effort,
we're all nearly 50 now, so we better start making the effort.
But it's like you say there, Robbie, we pick up straight away, don't we? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Tom walks through the door today and we see him, and then before you know it, right, we're talking about all sorts of rubbish as if we've been together for years.
It's
you know
just
what I mean?
the banter, the change room, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think that's the character, isn't it? Everybody's got characters in the dressing room. The more characters you have that bounce off each other, that's what makes the team, because you'll pull your tripe out for somebody on the pitch if you know that he's a good lad, and
if you don't enjoy each other's company, then you won't be successful in each other.
Yeah,
you can have a bit of ability, but you have to enjoy each other's company as well and pull together.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it today, Tom.
Thank you, Andy. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thanks, Thomas.
Not a problem, Robbie.
Thanks so much. It's brilliant to have had you here for a couple of episodes, Tom. We need to thank WCR FM again for use of their studios at Manda House. Chris and Susan really helping us along today. Wolverhampton Community Radio providing pathways into the media for young people. Don't forget to follow us on social media and like and subscribe the podcast, and we'll be back with another episode soon.